So, I finally managed to cross off another one off my 2020 watch list. Season 2 of Dollhouse, the second and sadly final series of the Joss Whedon directed series, starring Eliza Dushku. I started watching this show last year having loved some of his other works like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly. So I felt I should give Dollhouse a chance. I believe I even did a video on it at, at one point saying I was giving the series a try. And watching the final episode, I don't regret watching the show for a moment. What I feel the show did so well is that, especially towards the end, I started to get a sense that it's not as simple as black and white. It's not quite as simple as good or evil. Everyone is kind of a blur of both, and it's often tricky to know which side you're on. And ultimately, everyone's life is just speckled with shades of grey. So the second series ran from September 2009 to January 2010. So this show is actually well over 10 years old. And once again, it follows a house run by the sinister Rossum Corporation. They've got several of these houses all over the world, but essentially volunteers to the program are their personalities, their original selves, are stored on drives, and they're turned into dolls. I.e., people who they're given just enough brain ability to be able to function. I mean, they wander around and they're kind of like children, just kind of blissfully unaware, blissfully ignorant, and then when needed to be, when hired by clients, they can be imprinted with new personalities, new names, new abilities, and sent off into the world. For example, in the real world, you might have been a plumber, but then they could set you up with a series of personalities that could turn you. One day you could wake up and you're an assassin. The next day you may wake up and you're a hostage negotiator. Third day you might be someone's girlfriend or someone's boyfriend. You might be a prostitute. You never know. But with the second series of the show, they also did show more character development. Now, with our main character of Echo, played by Eliza Dushku, while in the first series it was very much episodic formats, kind of following each one of her engagements, with the second series they do a bit more in that they give her experiences from the last series. After all she's been through, she suddenly starts to develop an ability to maintain imprints. She can be wiped at the end of each day, but still somehow remembers those abilities and is able to essentially eventually is able to switch between them at will. And that suddenly makes her a much more interesting character in that she's had all these lives, all these people that she's been, but then she can just flick between them as well to select the part she needs, and also she starts to overcome her original programming with Echo, the name she was given for her doll, eventually becoming a whole new personality all her own. I mean, in her original life, she was a woman named Caroline Farrell, but now Echo is a person as well, and it does bring up an ethical question of, with all this technology, you can wipe away a bad memory, but can you wipe away a soul? And it is a slight feeling of, at the end of it all, if they give Caroline back her personality, will Echo cease to exist? And it is quite an ethical question to think about. I mean, once again with this series, they did bring back a lot. They did bring back a lot of the characters from the first series that made this series so beloved, such as Eliza Dushku, Harry Lennox, Frank Kranz, and God, I know I'm going to butcher some of these names, but Tamo Penniket and the Jokaj, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, Daikon Lackman, and, finally an easy one, Olivia Williams. And they also bring in a lot of Joss Whedon favourites along the way. For example, the return of Alan Tudyk as Alpha, Felicia Day in the Epitaph, and also the introduction of two new ones played by Summer Glau and Alexis Denisov. But it's not just Echo who they start to develop. They also give a little more to uh, Jokaj's and Lachman's characters of Victor and Sierra. They gave a little bit more background to the characters, with Sierra previously being an Australian artist called Priya Setsang, who she eventually ended up signing up to the Dollhouse to get away from a stalker who. She was an artist, and she had a stalker who would kind of invest in her art, but then he started expecting more out of her and following her and eventually threatening her. So it's interesting to see with her, and with Victor, Anthony Sassoli, played by Enver, he had previously been a soldier with PTSD. And what's interesting about these two characters together is that while they, like Echo, go through several wipes, they seemingly start to develop a mutual attraction for each other, both in their active states and in their dull states. So that so they can get together in one of their imprints, and then when they come back, they can always try and sit together at breakfast to have strawberries with each other. And even in one episode where it's said that that Anthony's time as a doll is up and he's being sent back to his old life, so it's just like, I'll see you later, and just sits around waiting for him. And it's actually rather beautiful. Now, like the previous series, the ultimate finale of it was Epitaph 2 Return, which is set in 10 years in the future, 2020 to be exact. Hey, we're in their time, where they're ultimately fighting back against things, and we do see that the two of them, since the events of the previous episode, since Rosson's defeat, did actually get together and have a son, but ended up essentially breaking up. And it is quite nice to see them reconnect. And as I said, everyone has kind of shades of grey. I mean, Harry Lennox's character, Boyd Langton, you see him imprint all these people, send the dolls out into the field, but then we learn later on he does actually have a sense of ethics about him. We get to see a nice connection between Eliza Dushku's character and Pennycat's character, with Echo and Paul Ballard, certainly more developed than the previous series. And I just think it's a brilliant show. I mean, as with many Joss Whedon series that were cancelled far too soon, I do kind of wish that they had gone on for a third season. I mean, I would have loved to have seen more of these characters. For example, in the technically last episode before the Epitaph, they have to upload Caroline's personality back up into Echo in order to get valuable information. And it would have been nice, I think, to see whether Echo and Caroline would have to share a body, or essentially learn how to live with each other, or whether something different would have happened along those lines. It would have been nice to see more of Tony and Priya's relationship, and possibly nice to have Alan Tudyk back as Alpha for another few episodes. But from the way the show ended, to me, I'm satisfied with the way it ended. I wish it had gone on longer? Yeah, of course I do. Like many Joss Whedon series that are cancelled far too soon. But you know what? If you think if you're into Joss Whedon series, I definitely suggest checking out Dollhouse. Season 1 set up some really big stuff, and Season 2 I think is a worthy payoff. And the series did technically continue in that it, like many Joss Whedon series, Firefly and Buffy, it did get a short-run comic series for a while, so I may check that out at a later date. But even after everything, I think Dollhouse will remain one of my favourites for a very long, long time. Anyway, the next video I make will probably be my Doctor Who review of The Timeless Children, which I have to wait until Monday to see. But until then, see ya.